Thank you for having me. It's a really important moment for all of us, and especially for Ukraine, to deliver my interview to the readers of the Tunisie Numerique. I really appreciate your attention to what happening in Ukraine, what happening in my country, how we fight for the freedom, and our future is inevitable. We will win in this war, and important that time it depends from you, from your support, from your understanding what is really happening now in Ukraine. Ukrainian diplomats, Ukrainian ambassadors everywhere in the world fighting with the Russian propaganda, which widely spread everywhere, especially in Africa, especially in this country, in Tunisia. And that's why I'm very pleased to be here with you and to deliver you the real trust. Real trust, only trust will help us to win in this war. Thank you, dear colleagues, for this very kind opportunity. Russia, in revenge of its losing on the battlefield, trying to fight with Ukrainian civilians. It's a real proof that Russia is a de facto terroristic state. And now some countries and Euro Parliament and Parliament of the NATO countries already recognized that Russia is a sponsor state of terrorists and state of real terrorism. This approach is approach of the country regime of Putin, which just demonstrates that they are losing this war because they are almost lost their war on the battlefield. And if they choose the target of the civilians, Ukrainian, damaging the infrastructure, Ukrainian infrastructure. But this is the last approach of the failed Russian regime to achieve any goals. But it will be failed for sure, because Ukrainian civilians, we are strong, more stronger than even before. We are facing of the cold weather, but we don't have any options. We will not give up. In any case, we will win in this war. And the support from the international world, from our friends, from our partners, really important for us to finish this war with the victory of Ukraine. And my answer to the Russian politicians, we just said something. It's like some comments, which it is unhuman comments. They don't have any other perspective. It's just a proof that they are real aggressors, and they are real accomplices of the Putin. And for sure, the International Criminal Court will wait for them. Thank you. It's a very important question, and I would say that I just want to remind you, all of you, dear readers, that nobody expected that Ukraine will stay more than 9 months now. We have more than 9 months Ukrainian struggling in this war. And as you remember, Russian regime and some countries in the world just gave Ukraine not more than 3-5 days to be defeated. But now more than 9 months. It's real, the power of our society. Now the Russian army not just fight with the almost 1 million Ukrainian army soldiers, but almost more than 40 million Ukrainians, not only in Ukraine, more than 20 millions all over the world. It's Ukrainian diaspora. So more than 60 million Ukrainian soldiers, Russian army now is fighting for. And I can add to the real partners, real friends, which of countries which now in Rammstein group, more than 50 countries now supports Ukraine military. We're receiving now from foreign partners aid in the form of the military aid, sanctions and financial support. It's very important. With regarding the military ammunition, thanks to our partners, we are receiving them, and we are more and more have a success on the battlefield with foreign ammunition, with foreign arms. And de facto we could say with like allies already with the NATO partners, because we have a success due to the steadfast of the Ukrainian society, soldiers, and with the support of the military ammunition of the foreign partners. That's why we liberated already more than 50% of temporarily occupied territories, which was occupied from the beginning of the war. I just repeat, more than 50% of the territories we liberated already, and we will continue to liberate our territories. And the Kherson is a very powerful sign for everybody that Russia already failed in this war. It's just time for them. They trying to postpone their end, just using the terror missile attacks to Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. And Ukraine call on foreign partners to speed up the process of giving Ukraine all this kind of aid, first of all in military ammunition. With this strengthening our defense system, especially now we need to close our skies to strengthen our anti-missile system, so we will be more powerful to liberate our land and to finish this war as soon as possible with the Ukrainian victory. And we call on the foreign partners to speed up the process of providing Ukraine with more modern ammunition. So we will use it. On behalf of Ukraine, I will assure you that we will use it only with the defense of Ukrainian territory, with the liberating Ukrainian territory. And the international community just see how the Ukrainian society is very strong, and how the Ukrainian military forces are more and more successful on the battlefield, and and the liberating of Kherson. All these very powerful signals to the international partners to give us more ammunition to liberate our own territory. Thank you. Ukraine always seeks peace, and especially now we need a victory. The main preconditions for Ukraine, as our Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said, we have at least 5 preconditions. The first key one is the liberating of Ukrainian occupied territory. And only after that we can sit on the table of the negotiations. And the legislative basis, we adopted the law that we cannot communicate with Russia, with the regime of Putin and with his accomplices, because they are not negotiable. It's important. We cannot negotiate with who does not follow the international laws, which violates all previous agreements, UN Charter, any approach from our side for negotiations. How you could speak with a terrorist? Now the Russia, Ukraine recognize, and more countries recognize the terrorist state. Could you imagine, in the simple situation, how you could communicate with terrorists? So, as it's impossible. So our approach, we are ready for negotiations, but not with Putin and with his regime and with his accomplices. Already, Ukraine during last time initiated many peaceful initiatives. We just our president delivered during the G20 summit, during the Francophonie summit recently which was held in Djerba. We just gave the signals to the world that we are ready for peace. We are peaceful nations, and but Russia only understands the power of strength, and Russia must be defeated, and Ukraine must victory, and only after the liberating of our territory we can speak about the further some kind of the security agreements which could provide us from our partners. So we want to provide the peaceful life for our territory and for our territory of our neighbors and for everywhere in the world. Because to speak with the terrorist, it could be only after it will be defeated, and only the International Criminal Court will consider this case, and they will be punished. Not to give the chance to any other countries in the world to follow the same practice. So that's why all the countries in the world just follow what is happening in Ukraine, and more countries in the world supports Ukraine, because we are fighting for our territory, for the freedom and for the democracy, and to returning to the really following the international security laws. So I just want to assure you that Ukraine always was ready, is ready, and will be ready for peaceful talks. But we have the preconditions. It's very simple. The Ukrainian territory, all Ukrainian territory must be liberated, including Donbass and Crimea. So, and we are open to talk, but with a reliable partner. But no signs from the terrorist state from Russia now. And look, even now, when I am talking with you, I just received the message from my members of my family, my sons, that now the Russian missiles just is attacking Ukraine again. How do you think? With whom to speak? It's impossible to speak with we don't see the partner. We don't see anybody in front of us to speak. Only Russian is a terrorist state, because how to speak with the missiles which are attacking and killing the civilians. And now member of my families, a member of my relatives, my people under the once again attack from the Russian side. So the Russia understand only the power of strength, and Russia must be defeated. Support please Ukraine to stop this war, to have the victory, and to achieve the peaceful agreements, but with the agreements with a reliable partner. Thank you, everyone, every country for your support. And be sure we will overcome all these challenges. Even in this attack, we will survive. and it will be the very powerful signal for every possible state of aggressor who just even think about how to occupy the territory of another country, because this is real neo-colonialism. It's very important and simply understanding for the countries in Africa. We just has their own history, and Russia just want to occupy Ukraine once again. It's a very simple trust to be understanding everyone, and we don't want to be colonized once again by the Russian. We are facing the real genocide from their side, and we don't have any other options, plan B, C, or etc. Only one option, just to withstand and to win in this war. Africa is very important region, and African countries very important partners for Ukraine. To be frank, now Russia and Ukraine, I could say, just fight for the African countries, I mean for receiving the support, but the approach is absolutely different. So we just explained what the Russia wants to achieve in cooperation with the African countries, using the propaganda and using the mostly mercenaries from the Wagner groups. I think many countries in the Africa knows what does it mean, the mercenaries and their territory and the Russian propaganda. And from Ukrainian side, we just focusing our approach to develop the bilateral relations with the African countries on the basis of the mutual respect, mutual support, mutual interest. It's absolutely different one that the Russia uses, because they want to receive the natural resources and nothing more. We are investing in human capital because we absolutely understand that now African countries wants to be, I could say, pro-African. They know what does it mean, real sovereignty and the real freedom, and how not easy to achieve it and to support it, to secure this. It's now lesson in Ukraine, and it's a good lesson for each African countries to teach this lesson. Ukraine adopted the strategy how to develop Ukrainian relations with the African country just last year, and we are implementing them. And philosophy of our strategy just based on the very simple basis. We are investing in the human capital. We are developing bilateral relations in the medical sphere, in the educational sphere, in the scientific sphere, exchanging of the delegation in cultural sphere. We support African countries in such difficult times, especially countries which are vulnerable of famine and droughts. Recently, Ukraine announced the initiative Grain from Ukraine. Despite of the difficulties, could you imagine, in my country now war, we are continuing to help other countries not to face the same challenges that now Ukraine we have it. We know what does it mean famine. The man-made famine which 90 years ago Ukraine faced, and many millions of people were died because it was man-made created famine of the Communist Party, pro-Russian Communist Party, because they tried to occupy the Ukrainian land 90 years ago. The history repeats, and now we have almost the same situation when Russia as a terrorist state wants to undermine Ukrainian stability, and playing with the hunger. It's a bad game, and we don't want to allow African countries to suffer as Ukrainian suffered and now suffering because of the Russian aggression. This is initiative of Ukraine Grain from Ukraine and devoted to support the African countries. Is a practical approach, is a practical help now from us, and with the support of international partners, we will deliver to Ukrainian grain to the African countries which just suffering from which could suffer from the famine and droughts. And this initiative will be continued, and more countries in Africa will be covered. In the mass media sphere, we just telling the trust to undermine the Russian propaganda, and because trust is really very powerful, peaceful weapon from the Ukrainian diplomacy. That's why how we fight with Russia in the African countries. And as a show, as a demonstration, how we supported recently, Ukrainian Minister of Foreign Affairs Dmytro Kuleba was visited at least 5 countries in his African tournée approximately 1 month ago. And it was the sub-Saharan countries, and at the beginning of the next year we are planning the next visit to another group of the African countries. And next year Ukraine already announced will organize the summit, Ukraine-Africa summit. Like it will be a very big conference. We just will show how the Ukraine develop bilateral relations with the African countries. So we count on the support of countries from Africa, first of all, in the political sphere. And we are happy that number of countries from Africa which voted in the support of UN resolutions against the Russian aggression in Ukraine, this number is increasing. So it's a very powerful proof how Ukrainian policy where we use the trust and very mutually beneficial relations with the African countries, it really works. It's an important message for the world that despite of the difficulties that Ukraine now facing and that Russia keeps waging war in Ukraine, Ukraine now lives with the future. It means, and with the world, with the support of the world, we are now thinking and focusing about how we will recover Ukrainian economy, how we will recover our country. And we now live in, I could say that Ukrainian society live in the different dimensions that the Russia now lives. So we are thinking about our future membership in the European Union, in NATO. It's a big evidence now that we are successful on the battlefield, and the organizing the international forums, discussions about how Ukraine will be rebuilt, how they will recovering. It's a very powerful signal for everyone, especially for the Russian society, that thanks to the support of the international partners, we will recover Ukrainian economy very fast. It will be absolutely new, modern, very powerful Ukraine, very attractable for the foreign investors, for the foreign tourists, for the students from the African countries. You will see, and we will right now we are recovering under the missiles attacks in the regime on 24/7, and we are all Ukrainians, just which we so-called temporarily displaced persons, are ready to return to Ukraine as the security situation will be better. And it's a readiness of all society, as in the Ukraine, inside of the Ukraine and outside of the Ukraine, to return back to their own motherland and to rebuild everything in Ukraine. And now in the international platforms, we are witnesses that the many big investors are just focusing interest in accumulating their financial reserves, technologies to invest in the economy of Ukraine. So once again, it's a very powerful sign that Russia will defeat and Ukraine will win. And just important for all of us, first of all, for Ukrainian society, for my relatives, for my members of my family, it's time. We all together, we need to make our victory as closer as possible. Thank you. It's I'm very pleased to answer for this important question regarding the Ukrainian diaspora in Tunisia. So just I want to remind all of you, my dear readers, that the population of Ukraine, more than 40 million, but more than 20 millions of Ukrainians now outside of our countries because of many reasons. So more than 60 Ukrainian citizens now everywhere in the world. And from that big amount, I mean 20 millions of Ukrainian diaspora all over the world. In Tunisia, more than 2,000 of Ukrainian citizens live here. And first of all, I am very happy that they are here, and because I see their faces, they feel here like at home. And me as ambassador, my embassy's team just care about them, and they are very patriotic. They supports Ukraine now in different approaches. Financially, providing the humanitarian aid, we just transfer that to Ukraine as soon as possible. And they are very united now. You can see on our embassy's webpage how they are very active, and they are sending from here, from Tunisia, from African countries, from these climately warm countries, their warm on their hearts, to their motherland, to their relatives, to support the Ukrainian soldiers, to support the Ukrainian society, especially now in this winter time when the temperature in Ukraine below zero. But with such kind of support from Ukrainian diaspora, particularly from the Tunisia, we are more and more strong in Ukraine. And I could not but say that the support from the Tunisian people, we received and non-stopping the support from the Tunisia, who knows Ukraine, not only from Ukrainian diaspora here, because they studied Ukraine, visited Ukraine as a tourist, and because more and more Ukraine is very popular everywhere, including in Tunis, and we need to use this popularity to attract the support from every people in the world, from the Tunisia, and we really support it. I could give you a very simple sample how we receive it. We receive the callings, many calls, more than 9 months from the beginning of the war. We receive the calls how to support Ukraine. We receive the financial aid, humanitarian and medications, and how it's important to see when we see from time to time the flowers which when the Tunisian people brought to the Ukrainian embassy, put to the Ukrainian flag. It's a sign of support. And it was very recently, it was happened one very interesting story when the one Tunisian man just brought the pot with honey. It's unbelievable to react for this, but it was done from him. He could not provide a lot of money, of course, because he is not a very rich, he is not a local oligarch, but he brought his pot of with honey from bottom of his heart. So it's cost too many. It's unbelievable how much cost. It's a real demonstration of how the Tunisian people supports Ukraine. And with all of this support, not only with the financial, military ammunition, sanctions, and with the support of the human support from the signals from the human hearts to Ukraine, it's really powerful and it really works. And this is victory. It will be common victory of all countries who support Ukraine. I want to deliver my very frankly words of thankful to all Tunisians here who lives in Tunisia and everywhere in the world. We have like a common history with Ukraine, Tunisia and Ukraine. Common values, human values. It's very important to know, because Tunisians, not only who lives in Tunisia and over the world in the different countries, they are just looking what is happening in their own country, in the motherland. And we as well, all Ukrainians, all Tunisians, you have the same values. Is a very good proof of that. A lot of Ukrainians live here. A lot of Tunisians lived in Ukraine before the war. They are evacuated successfully, and 100% of them want to return to Ukraine, especially students. I know them, I feel it, because I am not only ambassador of Ukraine here, I am just, I could say, like a father, not only for my sons who are just under the attacks in Ukraine. I am father of all students, Tunisian students, and I do all my best, believe me, to return them back to the Ukraine to continue the study in my country, because they want it, and me as well. And I want to wish you all Tunisians to have a peace in your country, in Tunisia, like I wish my country as well. I want to wish you to have a real freedom in your country. You are facing as well the political transformation now, and Ukrainians as well care about you. And we supported you everywhere. We have the very good history of our relations, and this history will continue. I will promise you, as ambassador of Ukraine in Tunisia, with the Tunisian diplomats, politicians, we will continue to develop our relations, and our both nations will be more powerful, more. We will have the freedom, and we will be really independent state. Why? Because we feel the support from Tunisia, and you know the very good proverb wording from the history: the friend in need is a friend indeed. And we appreciate, we are grateful, grateful to Tunisia for supporting Ukraine, especially voting for the resolutions which support Ukraine, resolutions in the United Nations. So, and I just wish you the good health, especially after the COVID. I just wish you peace, your own peace in your family, in your country. And I wish you freedom and independency to your country. And believe us, we are Ukraine and Tunisia very reliable partners, and we are support of your country even in such difficult times. Especially, we, like a proof of that, we just continued supplying the Ukrainian grains to the Tunisian ports, to Tunisian economy. You know how it's important. Almost 50% of import of grains was from Ukraine, and now we will continue this with the initiative of Ukraine Grain for Peace. We will prove that we are a reliable partner. We are going to return all students to Ukraine, all Tunisian students to Ukraine to continue their studies, and I will do all my best, I promise it. And we will support Tunisian independence, Tunisian freedom everywhere in international level, international platform, and on the bilateral basis. We had a lot of plans to do developing our relations, especially developing our trade. We are going to sign the free trade agreement between our countries. Only the good, real friends, partners, reliable partners could sign this agreement, and we will sign it. So Tunisia, I want to say for all Tunisians here and everywhere in the world, for me as a real Karthash, it's a Karthash, it's a very important location in the world, and uses opportunity for developing your countries. And we will continue to support each other everywhere, and I believe our future is our bilateral cooperation will help each other to be more economy with a very powerful economy each countries. Thank you, Tunisian people everywhere in the world who supports Ukraine. Thank you.